if you want to align cuts in Blender, vanilla Blender, things are a bit troublesome because you will need to work with these snapping tools in here, like snapping to face, edge, vertice, etc. And it's a little bit fiddly, okay? It's a little bit fiddly, you know. You could hold control and align it and then cut it, but it's a bit slow and you will need to switch in between these tools all the time. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is very simple. It's called hard-ups and box cutter add-ons, which are fantastic. And they allow you to snap to specific elements on your mesh. So when I'm gonna enable box cutter, you'll see this box cutter bar gonna pop in here. And I'm going to enable these snapping dots. Now, don't worry about this menu in here. It's going, you know, it's a bit, this one goes a bit deeper into the rabbit hole, but we can just work with this very simple magnet snapping tool. Now, don't confuse it with this one. That's a native Blender tool. That's different. And this one is from box cutter, just the same icon. So now, if you're gonna hold control and hover over your mesh, like this cube, you will see we're gonna get these dots, right? And you can snap to them and start drawing a cutter. For example, like this, or in the middle, right? So you can very easily determine the middle of the shape. And now when you're going to draw one shape, this cut will determine placement of other dots. So if I'm gonna hold control now, you see I'm gonna have other dots of this cut that hasn't been applied yet to be displayed. Now you can't do this in vanilla Blender because this cut hasn't been applied yet. So these edges do not exist. However, with box cutter, you can see these edges and you can highlight them and you can align to them. So for example, I can run a perfectly, you know, mirrored operation here with this kind of an interesting cut here in the middle that's going to be symmetrical on all axes, right? Obviously, there are more options in here, and actually I'm discussing all of them in detail in our course, The Ultimate Guide to Hard-Ups and Box Cutter, which is a fantastic course. So if you're interested in mastering these add-ons, get the course. The link is in the video description. But anyway, let me show you another way of aligning cutters, which is really, really awesome. And this one, you know, saves a lot of time and headache. And this is something you cannot do in vanilla Blender. So let's say this mesh was rotated and I had some kind of a corner here that's gonna be, you know, beveled like this. And I wanted to align my cutter to a specific edge or an angle. Now by default, you'll see that my cutter is gonna align itself here perfectly because of the local orientation of this cube. But if I'm gonna try to cut this edge, see, it will not work. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is a Shift-V menu, which allows you to align your cutters to nearest edge and longest edge. So if I select this one, I'm gonna be able to now align myself perfectly to whichever edge I want. And it doesn't matter, you know, what's the angle of this cube. If I'm gonna change it, it's always gonna be aligning properly, all right? So this is a fantastic way of aligning cutters to very, you know, kind of unique angles, even if the orientation of this cube is gonna be, you know, applied. So if I'm going to apply the rotation, and now the rotation of this cube is baked, which means, you know, and it's reset to 0, which means the local orientation is removed and the global orientation, you know, overrides the local orientation, I still can, you know, align myself to these edges because I'm aligning the cutters to edges, not to the orientation or rotation of this cube. So this is a very powerful tool and I use it all the time and it's just absolutely brilliant, you know, how it works. So there you go. These are my two favorite methods of aligning, you know, cutters with box cutter in Blender. And like I said, we have a fantastic course called Ultimate Guide to Hard-Ups and Box Cutter 2.0, which is going to show you all the tools, all the menus, the whole workflow, and much, much more. It's a insane course covering all these, you know, tiny little menus and options in here that no one talks about. Even documentation is outdated, so this is the only you know, complete source of knowledge on these two add-ons. The same with, you know, with hard-ups. If you're gonna go here to and dive a bit deeper to these menus, you know, there's a lot of functions and options that are being discussed. The same with the Q menu. All these things are being explained, so you can finally, you know, use these add-ons to their full potential. And they're fantastic. They will save you about 800% of your time. The way, you know, they perform in Blender and and the speed with which you can work is just insane. So anyway, the link to the course is in the video description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.